I call to order this regular select board meeting for the town of Underhill. It is Thursday, February 8th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. Are there any adjustments to this warned agenda?
Yes, one. I'd like to add the possibility of posting roads to the agenda.
Okay, we can do that.
I have two little things. One involves the Underhill United Church and the grant. It's brief. And the other is under the Corbett Road discussion last week, there was an invoice from the Beaver Deceiver, and we never got to that. So I didn't know if I could if we just discuss that when we get to the warrants. If that's all right.
Yeah, we could do that.
And the United Church thing, we can put at the end of my items.
That would be fine.
Okay.
I'd like to move the warrants and minutes to after the executive session.
Okay.
Not as part of the,
No, it's going to take, I would like to have the warrants and minutes take place after the executive session. I want the executive session to occur before that.
okay. That would be fine. That's an adjustment to the agenda. I don't think we need a motion.
I don't see anyone from the public, Dan.
Okay, there is no public comment period needed, so we will go right to the town highway items.
Okay, so first thing on the highway items is to consider and approve a lease agreement for the 21 dump truck that we are entering a lease on. That is finally coming to a light here. We should, hopefully next week, we should be able to take possession of this truck. We have the updated proposal from KS State Bank, which was the original company that we had got the proposal from, and Sherry got a proposal from Municipal Leasing Consultants out of, I think they're up in the islands. Anyways, so that we have two options. They are very close to each other. She said that overall it was like $300 and something difference between the two over the 3 years, with the Municipal Leasing Consultants being a little less than KS State Bank. The payment wise on KS State Bank is $13,952.40. And the payment number from Municipal Leasing is $13,890.25. So very close.
What is the monthly?
The monthly?
Monthly lease payment.
No, it's an annual.
It's an annual.
1 year from date of delivery.
Oh, okay.
First payment. And there's three annual payments for the term of the lease, and then 1 month after the third payment is the balloon payment, which at that time prior to that time, we would decide if we were going to purchase the truck or stick with our original plan to turn the truck back in at that time.
And how does the lease work? Would we get credit for that? We get some equity out of it?
It's a lease purchase agreement. So the way it works is, yes, you're contributing to some of the principal of the loan, and you're basically renting it to own it. So yes, but some of that rental money is going into a presumption that you're either going to turn it in and they're going to get it, or at the end it's right about $40,000 to purchase it outright. One's $39,000 and one, they're probably both about $39,000 something, under $40,000. But if we got to that point, we would need to plan a year ahead if we were intending to do that, because then it becomes a purchase and then it would have to be something that we ask the voters for.
So if we don't want that, can we apply that equity to something else?
No,
It's gone.
it's gone. You will just, it's like renting a car, basically. You're not getting much else than that.
Okay. What is the advantage of that?
The advantage of this, of doing it this way, was a way to get out of the current truck that we have, the outdated old school truck, into a newer, up-to-date truck without having to wait and purchase and order and so on. We were fortunate enough to be able to get our hands on this truck that they're very few and far between.
And how much more is this costing us compared to the best case scenario of getting a truck and purchasing a truck?
I don't know what the payments are.
Well, if we purchased a truck for, it's usually, a couple $100,000. So our
So-
payments are somewhere around $40,000 a year as opposed to 13.
So this proposed truck is taking the place of the single axle truck that we now know that is beginning to cost us a lot of money for repairs, correct?
Correct.
So the thought was, my understanding is that if we get rid of that truck that is costing us a lot of money to repair and we get something a little bit newer, we can try it out, see if this new way of doing things with it, because this is a tandem, not a single axle, we
No.
still have,
This is the single.
this is a single axle.
Yes.
See how this works, because this is set up differently than the current truck that we have now. Try it out. If this works well, great. Then we, at the end of 2 or 3 years, we can make the decision whether or not we want to try to buy it or get rid of it, turn it in, and begin that process. But either way, a year before this is up, we're going to have to make a decision on whether or not we're going to take delivery of this and keep it, or we're going to start to try to order one. But also be warned that it takes more than a year probably to order a new truck because of supply chain issues and everything like that. So
And this is not in lieu of the 10-year outlook and trucks that are already on that calendar. So we have one on order for next year now that's going to be on the ballot next month. So, this was something that came up in the middle of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So it's not related to our regular kind of purchasing long-term outlook.
Yeah, I remember the process. I just had some,
The payments are
Last
about 40 grand, and if you wanted to purchase a truck, it'd be another 40, so it'd be 80 out of pocket.
okay. So now there was, when I was in here, there was some confusion as to whether it was a 2020 or 2021. So it is a 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
The confusion was on the original proposal when the town of Peacham purchased it was in December of 2020. So when those proposals are built, it automatically comes up with the year that you're doing the proposal. If you don't go in and change it, because you know that if it's going to be built anytime after January 1, it's going to be the next model year. So that was a clerical error back in 2020 when they presented the truck.
Okay.
The truck is a 2021.
That got figured out.
So I'd like to move that we enter into the agreement with the municipal leasing consultants, as it's the cheaper of the two companies, to go forward with this lease of a 2021 dump truck as presented.
I have a few more questions.
A second. Discussion?
Where is Municipal Leasing Company from? You said Grand Isle?
I think they're from Grand Isle or South Hero.
It's a Vermont company.
Yes.
I don't know.
Actually, Sherry just popped on, if you wanted to ask her.
Sherry, do you know, is Municipal Leasing Consultants a Vermont financing company?
You're on mute. Should be not ready. Here she is.
Hello? Sherry?
Well, maybe while she's still booting up, Jen, you said if we're going to purchase the truck, ultimately at that point it goes to the voters for approval. So this,
We would need to plan a year ahead. So
it's
in
not
the,
like we are sidestepping the voters. This is like you characterized and Bob's characterized, this is a kind of a mid-season decision to get this truck in. We're doing it as a lease to test it out.
And it's not a capital expense.
But ultimately, the voters will have the say on this truck once we get there.
if we're leaning towards that, then yes, it would be, we would have to bring that to the
I
voter.
just want to make that clear in the record, so this lease process isn't, we're not sidestepping a vote process of the voters, it's to
No.
try it out.
Not at all.
Just want to make it clear
Hey,
on
Sherry.
the record on that.
Hey, Sherry, Patty was asking where Municipal Leasing Company is from. Is that a Vermont company?
Okay, good.
I don't think her sound's working.
Yeah,
All
yes.
right, good.
Okay.
All right, those are my questions.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Dan has to sign that?
He has the original in the original ones with the tabs are there.
Yeah.
You can do it after if you'd like.
Okay. The next on our agenda is it's just to consider 2 new accessory attachments for the 24 excavator. Basically what, just keeping you all up to date what we're doing. This was not in the packet. I was going to do these. So as all of you are aware, we have taken possession of the new excavator. We're all very happy with it. In the original plan was to purchase 2 buckets, a stump, tooth, puller, and a mulcher head. One of the buckets that we were interested in getting, we're unable to get due to the size that the bucket would end up being. It's just too large for our machine. And so we're gonna be able to save some money and not have to purchase this $20,000 bucket. So we have taken possession of 1 bucket from Tibbetts Equipment, which is the 36-inch digging bucket, clamshell digging bucket. So we have that, and we are ready to order the ripper tooth for pulling stumps. Ready to order that, and
That was approved already.
yeah, it was approved in the motion to get the attachments that we
Right.
wanted up to the original amount.
Mhm.
So on the mulcher head, we have narrowed it down to a 41-inch mulching head that will take 4-inch and down trees. So basically, it's going to be able to do brush on the side of the road. Anything bigger than 4-inch, we would cut and chip. This type of mulching head does a nice clean job and really breaks it up small, versus the bigger heads make it not look good when you're done. This gives a nice clean finish. So we're getting ready to order that. And we have to purchase, so we have a new cleanup bucket that the town purchased, I think 3 or 4 years ago, that had never been used. So we have this new bucket. We do need to get a piece of steel, hard steel, to put on the bottom of the bucket that we use when we're ditching. It just gives a nice clean finish, which I've got 2 prices on. One from Capital Steel, $841, and one from Queen City Steel for $1,000. So we would like to purchase that piece of steel from Capital Steel. And we would like to get cleats for the tracks, which are very similar to baseball cleats or soccer cleats. They clamp right onto the tracks. So if we needed to go out and do work on a back road and it was somewhat slippery, these cleats are like having tire chains on. It just gives you extra traction and better stability of the machine on what could be fairly slippery roads. And these are from Tibbetts Equipment. It takes 12 per track, so we would need 24 at $110 a piece for $2,640.
Those cleats do damage to the road?
No, it's dirt, so it's just like we wouldn't use them on blacktop.
Kind of like studs.
We would
Exactly.
use them just on a dirt road. So if we wanted to go up on Lower English and start working.
So Pleasant Valley be off the table.
Yes.
Only on roads that begin with a vowel.
Sorry, what?
They only cause damage to roads that begin with a vowel.
Jeez.
So if we were on the Valley Road, we wouldn't need cleats because it would be just
You'd
blocked out.
destroy the road.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it on blacktop.
So they come on and off
They can come on and off.
without too much trouble.
Yeah, just there's a bolt on each side, so just take the electric impact and take them off,
Okay,
put them back on.
all right.
Just adds for safety of
Yep.
using the machine in the wintertime. And we took the radio out of the old machine, and it is even older than we thought it was, and it was not in very good shape. So
8-track?
Huh?
8-track?
almost, I think. So I'd like to purchase the new radio, where we've got the new machine, the new radio, and be new across the board with it. And that was, let's see, radio. It was 1210. So,
$1,200?
well, the install, the radio, the install, antenna. Radio is like 750 to 800, somewhere in there. And then the install was 365 or something like that. That's through Burlington Communications.
Well, the two-way radio, I thought you were talking about like a radio like you have in your car.
Oh, no. The two.
Yeah, okay.
So I,
Listen to two.
Well, I would have thought they would have. They got,
Jeez.
so I added up, or whatever, we started out with $331,000 for the excavator and the trailer and attachments. And after lettering, the buckets, the mulcher, the ripper, radio, cleats, and this piece of steel, we are $39,697.30 under our budgeted amount of $331,000.
so you're still within budget.
Well within budget.
You don't have any other buckets or attachments that you need? This is it? That you can
We
see
don't-
right now?
We don't foresee anything more that we need at this time. And I think it's good to close this chapter and get the loan finalized and so on. And I would expect maybe even tomorrow or first of the week to have payment on the old excavator.
Do we have a portable air compressor or a tank that can be used in the field to take those cleats on and off? Or is that like a battery powered,
We have
something that you could use to put those on in the field or out?
we have a Milwaukee cordless impact gun that we'd use.
So the material we have in the packet,
Mhm.
help us sort through this.
Sure.
Tibbetts Equipment Service.
That
So you're
is,
recommending this purchase?
we've already,
Or you've already purchased?
We've already
this?
got that
Sorry,
bucket.
one you already have.
we have that.
That was part of the original deal.
Right. But this Mongo mulcher.
Yeah.
You're recommending that from CCR?
Yes. They're the distributor for
Okay.
that.
And then
Right.
where are the cleats?
The cleats are on this paper I just gave you, on top here.
But they're not in this,
They weren't,
okay.
they weren't in
The
the,
cleats are
So I thought we had the Mongo mulcher already.
no.
So that, the
We don't
Mongo
have
mulcher you're asking for approval for from CCR.
Well, I think we already got approval from the motion to be able to purchase the mulcher. The
Okay, I'm
buckets,
just
the-
trying to sort through
Sure.
what exactly,
I think he's just bringing us up
Here.
to speed as far as like he wants to finish this out and this is what he wants to finish it out with, but he's already got approval
Okay,
to do it. It's just a matter of, I think, a courtesy to,
Exactly.
explain to the board, like, what's the method behind the madness when we start to see the bills come in.
all right, that's helpful.
The only thing, the quote for CCR is not the same mulcher head you want to buy.
There was, the original one we wanted, or we talked about, was a fixed tooth mulcher, which is designed to take up to 10-inch trees. So that would be more for using of clearing a lot or something like that. So you just take it and just rip down a tree. That's not what we want to do. And that tears things up in big pieces. We want to do something that's going to be clean and neat when we're done, which is going to be a high inertia mulcher.
Will
And
this save money of things that we hire out?
it could save us some money on the roadside maintenance side. This machine is not going to be as fast as like a roadside mower with a brush head. It's going to be, we want to go up on lowering the settlement and start clearing the trees and the brush where we're going to be doing construction in the spring. We can go up there, work that whole bank, or if we got a section on another road, we can just go up and do, because you got to move it around, but it's something that we can do on our own leisure when we need it, not have to, contact Kurt Robarge and he's working for Cambridge and he can't come or whatever. It's just, and it would save a lot of time and it would help us keep our areas that we have cleared already. And it grows back up so fast, we don't get back to it, and then now it's trees again.
And you've got more reach than row bears would ever have.
Very true.
But your high inertia was less money.
It's less money, yes.
Less money than the quote shows.
So it could be more like $40,000
Okay,
left from the loan.
Got it. Okay.
so the money we're only asking for here are the cleats, the steel plate, and the radio.
Right. Yeah.
So do we want to bundle those in one motion?
Do we need to? Do we need a motion? We've already authorized,
We authorized.
we authorized 331,000 on what meeting?
Okay.
Several
I'm
weeks
good
ago.
with that.
Several weeks ago.
and
And
I'm
then you're just providing an update as to what accessories you're
Right.
purchasing.
Excellent. Okay.
Versus having to take like the steel out of equipment maintenance, just put it in with the whole purchase price was my thought.
Okay, good.
So the only thing I'd add to this is that if we are going to be going towards that UHF radio, if this is to include the VHF radio that we all have now, as long as we are going in that direction, I would get the UHF radio now with that money.
That
Good
makes
point.
sense. That makes
If
sense.
you're gonna have to do it and it's gonna be down and the guy's gonna have to do it, then I would have them put that radio in now.
Yeah, we don't have to buy
And then-
another radio.
Then you won't have to buy it because that was what the money was really intended for, was for this piece of equipment, just get it, set up and done. One less thing to have to worry about, in my mind.
Is there any downside to that from your perspective?
Well, if it doesn't pass, we put it in the budget for to upgrade radios.
Right,
to
but the
UHF.
worst case scenario is that we're gonna have one radio that is by itself in that piece of equipment. I guess I'd be willing to take that risk.
No, I'm not saying either, but just, that would be a downfall, or in that amount of money that we set aside or put towards that package does include one for the excavator, so
It just mean that we're gonna be
maybe not.
under budget.
But would you be able to communicate, say this spring, that the budget starts in July, or we can't do anything until July? Will you be able to communicate from the excavator?
Would that be,
Yeah, both.
well, if we go to the UHF, we're gonna have two radios. Because the UHF is gonna be strictly for Underhill Highway Department. We wouldn't be able to speak to the fire department, rescue, and so on. That's why we have to
But
have.
I think what he's saying is that if you put the UHF radio in this piece of equipment, there's no one that you're gonna be able to talk to.
Right.
Because it's only one.
Right.
The other radios would come after July.
So the UHF, when we did that, that was included the excavator?
Excavator.
Oh, okay, so,
I'm just saying like, this money is really allocated that we have approval for, is for the excavator and all the necessary pieces and parts to make it work. It's just like, it seems to me like, that's use that money for its intended purpose and not use that money for the radio. You can come in a little bit lighter, $1,000 or whatever it's gonna be for that piece of equipment, because we are so, we have that much more money available.
I think it makes sense to do it.
And I would just do it. Go with what the models that you presented before.
Can I just say one thing? Not to be a stickler about anything, but I think because you're new here and we have, there's policies and procedures that are governmental and we need to just always be aware of them. I think in the future, when we are asking the voters for something, we need to be a little bit clearer, because I think it starts to cloud things when we just leave it so vague that we're going to borrow the money. All it said was to borrow the money for the excavator and the trailer. It didn't say, to the implements and the attachments. And so I just think the next time we do another purchase, we want to be a little bit more careful with how we package that deal, just so that, we're being totally upfront about it.
That makes sense.
Transparent.
Makes sense.
Do you want a motion or are we good to go?
No, we don't need a motion. Let's go on to the chloride.
Okay. The chloride. As I presented a few weeks ago about the chloride, myself and the rest of the crew took it as the contract amount was including the tanks and the spray unit, and we would own this equipment after 3 years. When we received the contract and I was reading through it, I didn't see anywhere in the contract that stated that. So I contacted Frank and he said, no, it does not mean you own the equipment after 3 years. The contract means that we are supplying you these tanks and this spray unit as part of the contract. They used to do that. And you look back into whatever he quoted us back in 2019 prior to me, and that's the way it was in 2019 as we owned the equipment after the contract. They don't do it that way anymore. In the sense, it might be better because when we have a contract with them, not really anything's going to happen to the tank, so to speak. It's more of the engine and the electric valving and stuff on the spray unit that can fail. They own that equipment, so that would, if anything fails on that equipment, they're responsible to replace. They come every year and inspect the equipment, make sure everything's up and running good. If we have a problem, we call them. The engines and these things tend to be what fails. May not be so bad with the magnesium chloride versus the calcium chloride because it's not as bad. So he apologized up and down for that, which that's just how we took it, I guess. So I apologize for that, for explaining that to you incorrectly. So the contract, I just want to be upfront with everybody that it does not include that we own this equipment. He did say that the chances of them wanting this stuff back are very slim, but it's not stated that it is part of that we own this at the end. So I still think it's a good deal because the town doesn't now have to go purchase these products. They're still being supplied to us. So
that's including the trailer and everything. Or this is just the tanks and equipment, so we still have to have the trailer and everything like that too.
We're getting away from the trailer. The trailer behind the pickup is not a good setup. It's too heavy. You can't make up some of these hills without spinning, and then you're ruining your graded road. And so our plan is to take and use the 08 dump truck and put it right in the dump body, fits right in the dump body. And we actually have a truck that we can go around, and it'll be a little bit bigger tank, so we don't have to make as many trips. Like Poker Hill takes like 3 loads to do, so it may only take 2 loads with a truck. So
Are we gonna be able to do everything with that truck? Like there's some roads that, will it not fit on that we'll have to do with a smaller tank, or no? We'll be able to do everything with
and easier, because it'll be easier to turn around, it'll easier just over, and the whole aspect will be better. And being so much less corrosive, it's not going to destroy the truck like calcium chloride will.
So we saw in the lease agreement that we have to commit to buy 20,000 gallons of the liquid product
Yes.
per year
Yeah.
at contract fair market value. So if we do this, we're obligated to purchase from them for 3 years the solution.
Yeah,
And it's their equipment.
it's their equipment.
Let me ask the question, is this what most towns do? That they would lease the equipment and then basically sole source the liquid purchase for the duration?
I don't know I know this company does the majority of the towns around us. I don't know if they do the same type of thing. I believe Cambridge does. But I don't know what others do.
It's not my understanding that we're leasing the equipment. They provide the equipment. We buy the material.
It says
Much
it's
like
lease.
if you would get a propane tank from a propane tank person, firm, and.
The agreement refers to a lease to the town,
Right.
so. But we're basically, are you worried at all about the purchase of the liquid? Sole sourcing it for 3 years to this company?
I'm not worried.
How many gallons do we normally go through now?
About 20,000 gallons.
And who do we normally buy it from? Do you know off the top of your head, Brad?
Them.
These
It
folks.
is them.
Yeah.
So
Not
it's
many
not,
people, and your price, this whole setup, this new setup is about the same as we have budgeted now.
Yeah.
Going forward. And we don't have to use this old beat up trailer with a tank that's ready to fail and the storage tanks that are old.
Questionable.
okay.
So
I don't want to enter into an arrangement where we get surprised.
I don't think it's a bait and switch deal. I don't like they get you
All
on
of a
the
sudden,
hook and then.
exactly, then you purchase the liquid and then the next year the liquid doubles or something like that.
What did you say, Russ, in your thing? You said that the only thing that might drive the price up would be a spike in fuel costs,
Yeah,
right?
for freight.
Okay.
So that's,
The other thing, excuse me, what we mentioned again, I put it in the email, but Frank felt really bad for how we took it and how he maybe didn't explain it correctly, that he's going to give us an extra spray bar for that unit that is designed for pre-treating blacktop in the winter. Because I think moving down the line, we are going to look into that, pre-treating and using magnesium with salt. So if we wanted to experiment with pre-treating blacktop, we would have the spray bar. We use the same setup, same truck, put this different spray bar on it that sprays differently for blacktop pre-treating versus chloride, the road, dirt road. So he's going to give us that spray bar at no extra charge, no extra.
the freight equipment and storage tank value of 21,000, that's just the total of everything that we're gonna be getting. That's not necessarily the cost that we're gonna have every year.
That's just that's the value
Right.
of the lease. He has built into the cost of the liquid.
Right.
The lease. And we put that in the budget for next year.
So you need a motion for this?
I would say we probably need a motion
Yeah.
for this being a correction to
To authorize the chair to just enter into this,
The quick administrative, should the address that the lease, it says it's the transaction place of business is 75 New Road, Underhill. Should that be town hall here versus?
Well, that's what,
That's where the storage.
That's where they're-
I know that's where it's located, but I think of like all contracts should be, the
Sherry,
location should be here.
should be town hall? Yes, Sherry says yes.
yeah. and
You don't want,
75 is not right, dude.
right, you don't want
77.
contracts over at the garage. Just, this is the location of all official business. You're part of the facility is in a separate location.
So,
But just change that address here.
and then we can call Dan and he,
And the zip's wrong anyway, 05490, and
Okay.
it's 77 New Road, so.
So let's change that.
Update that
Yeah.
to this address.
yeah.
Yep.
The
And
physical address or just the PO?
No, this is referring to the office transaction of business, so it's not like they're gonna bring the,
The delivery address is
should be our office
New
address.
Road. Contract should be this.
And it would be, I would put our physical address and our PO box so that
Yes.
all correspondence comes to the right place. Unlike the IRS, you can't seem to get it right. I made you smile.
All right, I'll make a motion that we enter a 3-year contract with Innovative Solutions with the changes discussed regarding address as included in our packet.
Authorize the chair to sign
Yes.
such document. I second.
Further discussion?
I think we can do that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. And then the last thing I've got, just to give you a little update on storm cleanup. Gordon's had to do some maintenance on his log truck, so he's been unavailable this week. But we did go out, just our crew with a chipper, and did what we could in certain areas with just ourselves. It's been a good day doing some of that work. And other than still a lot of snowbank stuff that things are frozen in the banks, it's just, first of all, you can't pull it out. And second of all, we're not going to get it all. So we're going to get what we can when Gordon's back up, hopefully first part of next week. If the weather's good, we will get back at it. And so there's some big wood around to pick up, some logs and stuff. So we're getting there, slow but sure. We kind of changed things up a little bit and decided we got to smooth some roads out this week. So we've been graveling some roads, Poker Hill, our settlement, Upper English, McClellan Farm, some of the worst spots around town. So we've been doing that. And I think I told Bob yesterday, but Scott has really stepped up with running the grader. Very excited about it and really doing a superb job.
Nice.
Very happy with his work and he's enjoying it. So it looks like we've got a in-house grader operator to start. So very excited about that.
Excellent. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely had a hidden talent there. So it's good.
Good.
And
Great.
that's all I got.
I have 6:38, and next on the agenda was Jennifer's budget review. Would you do me a favor, Amanda, back if you just scoot your chair over there, maybe you could just, when she needs, if you just hit the right arrow when she
Oh, yeah.
goes to ask, you can drive.
Yeah, it'll be pretty quick. I sent everybody, the budget status. Wait till my computer comes up, please.
You want a hard copy? Right here.
No. I
Sure.
don't. No. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I need my notes.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyway, there's not going to be a lot to highlight because we're only, 6 months into the year, and it's not usually very exciting until we get to that last quarter where we're like looking at it saying, okay, how are we doing? So I think I think we are where we expect to be. And the only thing I will remind you as we're looking through this is that there's certain things that are seasonal, and we always have to keep that in mind. So specifically, mostly highway projects that are more seasonal. So it may look like there's a lot more money than we would expect in one account, but that's just because, well, we aren't through the winter yet or whatever it is. So you can switch to the next screen. I'm going to highlight just a few things. On page 1, I just want to bring up the insurance. Insurance costs continue to skyrocket. This is not anything that we can help. Our insurance is through passive. It's not because we have claims on anything. It's not because it's not because we don't take care of our buildings, our equipment. It just is what it is. So, but we had a 12.5% increase, and I'm going to remember to make sure that we continue to budget, at a higher increase. And I've actually already spoken to Passive about what they expect it to be next year. So I have that ready for us for the budget.
So this is liability and property insurance?
Property, liability,
not
workers'
benefits.
comp.
Okay, right.
Property, liability, workers' comp. The next thing I wanted to bring up is select board contingency. I think that the most important thing there is that when we add items, we need to be more cognizant of where that's coming from, because we need to make, it's early in the year now, but as we continue to go forward, we can't just say, okay, we're going to buy this. We need to really look at what's in that budget line item, and if it's not in that budget line item, is that something that the select board wants to take from somewhere else? So I'm going to do a better job when things come up of saying, okay, wait, stop, let's look at this. And if it means waiting till the next select board meeting, then I know that I'm confident that, we can all do our homework and find out where we can get those funds from. The other one that is really high right now at 91% of our annual budget already is technical expenses. And there's nothing that's new in there, but we're now capturing all technical expenses in there. So I broke it down on there just so you can see it, but we pay a fee for our network software, our new website, which we have budgeted, tech groups, regular, and then we have several other smaller ones that are in there. We did build in for our budget for next year the additional, the Microsoft 360, so that'll be in there after that.
Excuse me, this is Erin. I just wanted to let you know we're not seeing this on a screen share. I didn't know if you meant to do that.
I could, I don't have it on this stick, but maybe if you got
Probably
near
doesn't. It may not matter because
it may not matter.
I'm going to put it on the website.
Yeah.
It'll be on the website tomorrow. Both this and that will be on the
Let's just
website.
run with it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get close to the screen, then it might pick you up.
Oh, if I sit in front of it, maybe,
Or
Erin?
next to it.
How's that?
That's not really helpful, but I think it's good to know it's just going to be shared tomorrow. So that's
Yeah, I'll share it tomorrow.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll share it tomorrow. Okay, the next one I'd like to flip to is page 7, which is the technology. So I just brought it up, but hang on. It's on page 7, the technology, which I already just said. So we can go to the next page. A couple of things I wanted to bring up here. The post office, I just wanted to highlight that we're at, we've got about $800 left. And we talked about doing the floor for the post office, so I just wanted to make sure that we knew that we still have that in there. And then on page 11 is the ARPA expense of the generators, which also is going to come up under the highway department, and it's under the capital expenses. And we do have, the generators are on order, the deposits have been paid. Once we purchase them and get them installed, then we will do the transfer from the ARPA accounts to the capital accounts. So this will come out, but that's where we're at on that.
And that includes the town hall
Yeah.
as well.
This one here is, this one on page 11 is capital building improvement. That 4,000 is the deposit on the town hall one.
Okay.
When we get to the capital for the highway fund, you'll see the deposit for that one on there.
Okay.
Okay, next. Now we're skipping over to highway. I found a great quote I thought was great. I think both the office staff and the road crew, literally and figuratively, have been bending like willows and surviving because it's been a really rough few months. So that was my take on it. Skipping over to highway. Next
Well
slide.
done, willows.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing better than the maples and the pines anyway.
Exactly.
Generally, I think with the highway, my concerns are just that, is how is basically that I think we need to keep an eye on our spending very carefully. And my biggest concerns are in dealing with, capital items and large expenses. And specifically thinking about the HEIC committee and the fact that we established that 7 years ago, to be able to look at the big picture, to look at our 10-year plan, to look at what is the trajectory of our paving expenses over the long haul, and how is that going to increase, and how much money do we have to have for that. Also looking at our equipment purchases and any other capital expenses. So I think that we need to be really cognizant of that before equipment is purchased, that has to be go through and let's see how is that going to affect our 10-year outlook, because every one of these major purchases affects that 10-year outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been working really well, so I think we need to stick with it. The only things I wanted to point out on this one were a couple of the items that were close to budget, and this is page 14. Small equipment went over budget, and that's because of the channel post driver. But that was paid for out of the extra income that we took in from the sale of the trailer. So when you look at that item, it looks like it's over budget, but it's not, and that was approved by the select board. The bridges, culvert, and guardrail is way over budget. But if you could switch to the next one just for a sec. Russ is doing a great job of inventorying our culverts. This is something that we've never had before, so thank you, Russ, for keeping track of things, because it makes it way easier for all of us to understand these things. The board had approved, and there was a major purchase ahead of time of culverts, and it was because we had thought, or we had word that the costs were gonna go up or something?
No, it's past history now, but I believe there was a double order in 1 year.
Okay.
That shouldn't have happened.
So we ended up with a lot of culverts. The good thing is, even though that number is 126% over budget, we do have plans to use a lot of these culverts on projects. So, and they are in stock right now in inventory.
And some of that monies will be replaced with MRGP grant funds as well. So that is not in the revenue stream of the.
Right, that doesn't show. And then the other one that I just wanted to bring up, because it was right at budget at 96%, is traffic control materials. And that one is largely because a lot of the expenses of the new signs and the upgrades to the signs. But that one's right at the edge right now. And I think that might even could be it. Hold on. I think it is. Next page, having the right tools. I guess that brings up the last piece, which is just the capital expenses, and making sure that we're paying attention to those purchases. And then the last page is the new machine.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Russ can tell you, but that's the new machine and the game. So that's really all I had that was highlighted. And it will get more exciting the next quarter, but I think we're right on target, right where I would expect us to be on everything except for those that I've brought to your attention. So
Good, thank you.
that's all I have. Did I keep to my 10 minutes?
You went over. All
Oh,
right. Maybe you can make it up with the
I'll make it up for this one.
RFP for the.
So last year, we talked about the audit firm, our audit process that we do, our annual audit, of our financials. And we've been using AM Peisch now for, I don't know the total number of years, but I think over 7 years. And it is fairly typical for towns and cities to, at some point, put out an RFP and see if there's some other firms out there. And see if there's any interest, if there's another firm that wants to bid on our project. So I put together an RFP. There are only, I will send it out to 4 or 5 governmental audit firms that would consider doing work here in Vermont. That doesn't mean that they're going to even be interested. And then obviously, and so I put together the RFP. I wanted you guys to just take a look at that, make sure that it made sense. And if there's any adjustments or edits that I should make on it, then, I certainly will do that.
Jen, there's a reference in here to financial statement audit versus a single audit.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So if we receive a grant, a grant over a certain amount of money, it triggers a requirement to have a single audit. We've never
What
had
does that mean, a single audit? Like auditing a single
It's like auditing,
transaction?
it's really expensive. They come in and they audit that one single,
Like the sidewalk grant, for
Yeah,
example.
They
you know,
review
there's
everything.
They-
Always a catch,
Okay.
always the statute of limitations, you're supposed to hold on all those materials in case they request one.
but the single audit for governmental, like, we don't have to do it. Some towns have to do one every year. So it's an additional fee.
Okay.
So they do their whole audit and then they do this focused audit on the one thing. We've never, to my knowledge, Sherry, have we ever had to have a single audit that you know of? No.
Okay.
So,
I just didn't know what that
But-
was.
but if it had to happen, because let's say we did the project on River Road and we need to know what this company would charge us for that. So we would want to make sure that there's no surprise, because it's not something we get to choose. If we hit that threshold and we have to have a single audit, then we have to do it. So, if there's a significant difference. In talking to my other people who are in my position, in some of my organizations that I talk to, there's really only 2 other firms besides AM Peisch that are doing business here generally, for cities and towns in Vermont. And we can cross this bridge when we get there, but one of my biggest concerns is, I wish there were several firms in Vermont, because the other main company that is doing this work is in Maine, and everything they do is through a portal. And I don't know if you've ever been in here on a day when the auditors are in here, but it's already a really intense time for all of us in the office. I'm generally grumpy for the entire time, but it's a lot of work, because you're pulling files and then they're telling you what other files they want you to pull, and you're scanning things, and to have to do all of that and have to upload everything that they want would possibly require us to hire someone to just feed the scanning machines for a period of time. So I don't know how efficient it would be, but again, let's cross that bridge when we see who responds to the RFP. And I waited to hand out the RFP till we had our audit complete, so. for obvious reasons.
So we are unhappy with the company. No,
No, not at all.
we're just doing due diligence,
Yes,
testing it out.
Mhm.
But I would agree that having somebody local would be best option.
I can just tell you from what I hear from other town administrators and town managers is that they're really concerned about how few firms there are doing this work and what could happen if,
Yeah, we don't want to fall behind in getting a contract.
And I also, I have, having spent a lot of time with these folks, with Lisa and Dan and the other folks, I want them to understand that we are not intending to do this RFP because we are in any way unhappy with their performance or their work or their turnaround or their professionalism or anything. It's just simply, that when we have a line item on our budget that exceeds $20,000, we need to make sure that we're, doing our due diligence and that makes sense.
It's standard practice.
Yeah.
Jen, the RP looks great. Just I noticed there's a reference to December 31st, 2022.
31?
31st?
Oh, so I
31st,
just,
2022.
okay,
So I'm assuming that's
a wrong year.
just to flag that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Everything else looks great.
Okay, good. So I don't know if you guys need to make a motion for me to move forward with sending the RFP out or how that works, because I haven't done that before, but that's what I would be requesting.
I move that we authorize Jen to go forward with a RFP as presented tonight with the modifications mentioned earlier.
Second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, time's flying here, but it's 6:56 and we're a little behind, but
Maybe you guys can make this quick.
Jennifer's up with Amanda's up with the 911.
All right, so as I said in the note, we found an old ordinance from 1996 that needed a little tweaking, and Brad sent it out in the packet. I personally don't like the little sidebar thing, so if you want a copy without the sidebar, I think Russ, you should have one. I've got copies here if you'd prefer that. Jen.
Anyone want a copy?
Yeah.
Good catch on all the typo corrections.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because I had typed it over, so I took the original and I hand typed it, so a lot of those were my fault.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. I was like, that's an ordinance?
No,
That was before spell check.
Yeah, I was on a typewriter.
All right, so, yeah, I don't know how we go about this. Do we, I've already got sticky notes all over mine with questions I've got and suggestions. I don't know if you guys took the time to read through or not.
So I guess I could start by saying in section 2, you make reference to, or we make reference to, we don't want to have roads with similar names in the towns of Underhill and Jericho.
Mhm.
But we want to add towns of Westford and Bolton. Because the fire department covers, towns, in areas, like, so West Bolton would be, but Bolton and then Westford as well.
Do you want me to
And then
list them
And then
all?
Cambridge.
List them all or just put surrounding towns?
Maybe
List them.
abutting towns? So towns that we geographically get into versus surrounding. is a
West
little-
Bolton, we don't.
I'm just thinking of, like, so Richmond, Bolton, those are communities, like, if you go to Main Street, I'm just trying to think of a road that is in both towns, River Road. So River Road
Yeah.
is here, in the center that goes towards the Brownsville Middle School, and also River Road could be, 117 in Jericho. So it's just like, it depends on who's giving you the directions of where we're going. So you really want to be mindful of, where are they trying to get us to go to?
So should it be farther, it should just be surrounding towns?
Or how about towns that share or use our
Towns that are serviced.
towns that are serviced by
Underhill Fire
Underhill Jericho Fire Department?
What about the whole thing of mutual aid? Should include Cambridge too then? Or is that getting too broad?
Well, you get into like, Westman Road. And then it was, Westman Road was called something else too. And then we finally got that changed. So it was all considered the same.
Well, River
Neighborhood.
Road is a good example because River Road is the same. River Road's the same in Jericho and River Road's the same in Underhill. It's just Jericho Underhill.
Right. But they're in totally separate areas. So if somebody doesn't get it right, we're kind of going
Or
backwards.
River Road the one you're talking about is 117, right? It's a
Right.
state highway.
I guess we could get together, we could list them, you know, it would be I would think it would be the towns that would be, or you can word it in such a way that that are serviced by, you know, the fire department, we would want to make sure that those road names are not already used in another community that is serviced by the Underhill Jericho Fire Department.
Do you think we'll run out of road names though? I mean, that's a lot of towns.
There's a lot of names in the dictionary.
Yeah, but I wonder if those same towns don't do the same.
Right.
Then you're,
I can't control what other people do. I can only control what we do. Right? So when it comes time to name a road, we would hope that they would follow suit and just say like,
Jennifer Drive's not taken, you should use it.
you know,
Yep, I will modify that by putting something different in there, not just Underhill and Jericho. My question, so in section 4 with the numbering guidelines, we number all new road names with the new 1/1000th of a mile. I'm not sure if I should keep how we number the existing roads, because we still number them the old way.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was thinking about putting that back in, maybe shortening this a little bit, because it's a little wordy, but keeping how we number existing roads with the old numbering, and that all new roads are numbered at the new numbering system.
I would prefer to have it, you know, after a certain date, like we're gonna do it all the same. So,
I'm
you
sure
know,
the state's gonna make us renumber this whole town at some point, but I don't know, hopefully not soon.
Yeah, so 911 authorized or grandfathered us into, so this is kind of a weird system, but our system's not based on the mile, it's based on 5,000 feet. And we don't use a thousandths. We don't go to the thousandths place. We only go to the 100th place. So the tricky part, I agree with you, Bob, about that, but the tricky part is when you're trying to infill a number on Pleasant Valley Road, you can't just ditch that old system and use the new system because it's not gonna work. So the farther you get out Pleasant Valley, the more distortion there is, right? So if we're saying basically a mile is 5,000 feet, which we know it's not. By the time you get 5 miles out the valley, you've lost, 1,000 feet.
Becomes significant.
Right.
that's why I guess I'm saying like, eventually, you know, at a certain time, say 10 years, like we're going to have to, whether we're mandated or not, we should probably look at, you know, trying to everybody come up to that same standard.
Certainly when we say a new road exists, like Min's Lane or some of those other roads some other private roads, we go right with the old with the current 911 standard of the mile. We still can't jump to the thousandths because we don't have a numbering system like that. So prime example is like my house, right? I'm 60 Covey Road, Underhill. You go to the next house and it's 632 because Cambridge adopted the right standard.
So all new road names going in, the last 4 or 5 names have.
But therein
been done
lies the
correct way.
problem.
Yes, I
Right.
agree.
Eventually it will have to.
Because someone will
change.
say, I don't know, you know, we know that someone is having a heart attack and
Yeah.
where are they?
Tyler told me, and I don't know if he's told you, but he said it's inevitable. We will get this whole town
We will have to
renumbered.
change everyone's address, except for the 4 or 5 new road names that have the correct addresses already.
But that's not gonna be a pleasant.
No.
I know.
I'm not
I
gonna-
thought there was
Don't
know.
worry about that right now.
like they do old highways. You know, they could assign old highway number or old
exactly.
exit number.
Exactly.
So,
Two addresses.
All on the section 5, number 4,
Yeah.
the vanity roads.
Mhm.
We have quite a few.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, instead of being Gregorian and saying, don't do it, if we said, you know, you can do it, but it has to be a different color.
Right, that's what I'm
Brown
thinking.
Like a brown with white lettering. If you want to do a private name and you want Bob's Road, you know, type of thing, then you got to it has to be brown with white letters and it has to match the same standard that we're using. Like either a reflective lettering or whatever, but otherwise, I'm sorry, I'm the duty officer, so I have to take this.
Yeah, I think a different color, different format.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. There's a couple vanity signs that are out there that could possibly be roads. So I was thinking about maybe talking to those property owners on that and seeing if they don't mind us changing their road, their vanity sign to an actual road name.
Mhm.
But did you see that part, Russ? Because that involves you guys too. You hadn't seen
The
that one
vanity
yet.
road sign.
That was new. I guess there was an issue a couple of weeks ago with EMTs being slowed down because of vanity sign, confused them. They weren't sure where.
If it looked totally different than a normal road sign, though,
Right.
that might be,
That'll help.
although to the
Yes.
untrained person, this is what Andy used an example. He said to the untrained person, they might say, well, I'm on Irish Settlement Road and Larry's Way,
Right.
you know, and then the dispatch is like, well,
There's no
there
Larry's
is no
Way, no.
Larry's Way, you know? So that's the only, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
fear of the vanity plate, or the vanity road sign.
Even if it was a different color and the same size as we use,
It's gonna look like
It's
it's
still-
a sign.
it's still gonna cause that same
I agree.
issue.
I would think just have it be not the same size, have it be way smaller and a different color. I don't want it to be the same size or reflective.
Yeah.
Or
I
what
think our signs should be prominent.
Ours need to, the 911s need to, they need to stand out. The other ones, maybe you say they're not, maybe they don't allow them to be reflective.
Or you require them to put underneath, say, this is not an official road sign or something. I don't know.
The one at the end of my mother's road says AKA. So that means
I like that.
she's got Sage Road and then AKA an Italian settlement road. So I think it's very clear that her road is Sage named and then, but that's another issue we'd have to talk about.
Does can the town say no vanity?
Well, that's what I just put in here,
Oh, that's
saying
okay.
that you guys have authority to take them down. We
Anything,
would let them know
All the
first.
ones you want.
yeah, anything.
I think it's, in some cases, it's nice, you know, like Lampier Road is up there at Larry's, you know, nice for Lampier Road, but
And
still,
he could potentially have a road though, because he's already got 2 911 structures up there. He's got the house and the sugar house. So if he wanted to turn that into his actual physical address, we could.
No, there goes
Oh,
Bob.
Bob's out of here.
what if if somebody wants a vanity road sign,
Mhm.
then it has to turn into a private road?
You can't,
You
though.
can't do that?
They don't.
No, you can't just make everybody's road private.
Well, there's requirements for private road, right?
Yeah.
3 or
You gotta
more.
have 3 or potentially 3. Like Larry's would qualify because he could easily put an accessory dwelling next to his house and then he'd have a store. So I'd be willing to let him.
I never really thought about, you know, I see them around town, but I never really thought about it being an issue, like an
Yeah, me
emergency
either.
situation.
Yeah, I guess it was.
But I can definitely see how
Yeah.
it would be a problem in an emergency situation.
Matt Champlin's voice is concerned, and so is Andy Forsberg.
And I can think of 5 off the top of my head, but I have not driven around town looking for vanity signs. So I don't know, you go around town way more than I do, so.
Yeah, I think there's a few around.
I bet the fire department has a pretty good list.
Yes, exactly.
But Lee knows. Sure.
Exactly.
But the town has the right to say no vanity road signs?
Well, that's what we're
That's what you
we're
want.
discussing now, because that's new. That was not in the ordinance before. That would be something new.
Well, I think road signs are basically for 911, for emergency situations.
Mhm.
That's the whole purpose of it.
That's the main goal of them. That's why we're making them, or installing the correct signs and upgrading and
Right.
so on. And, oh my gosh,
Yeah, it shouldn't matter.
shit's cutting, should
I
be
didn't
cut
think
dry.
anything of it until, Andy called and said there was an issue with it with a medical thing, so.
Yeah, I would go with that, eliminating them.
I
If they
like,
want to put a wooden sign painted,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
something
know,
like that.
by
is
their
fine.
mailbox.
But
Maybe
not
a
one that,
round sign, something
Oh, yeah.
round, it would make it look like it's,
but not green and reflective white, like
Right,
the,
exactly.
that. It's what you have to get for,
What do we do when we put up a $150 road sign on a town road and then they take it down and discard it and put up their own little wooden sign.
Right here, there would be a $500 fine for any
Yeah.
vandalism, stealing, defacing, or destroying
Yeah.
of public signs within the right of
There
way.
is.
Which has happened recently.
Yeah,
Oh, well, here we go.
might catch them.
That's always been in
Yeah, how
there.
do you catch them?
That's hard to catch. My brothers used to steal street signs.
Especially up there.
Oh, yeah, any other suggestions?
So since it is, I included the statute with ordinances, so maybe, I don't know, I would suggest if maybe you could make some changes or come up with a clean copy.
Yep.
And then we put it on the agenda again. And
Yeah, I
then-
would think, then we have to have a hearing, correct?
I believe so. Is that what you do with?
Right, so I'm just saying, you know, take a meeting or two and
I think it's a good idea.
get a good draft down, and then, yeah, we'd hold a hearing.
And that way, people who have input or
Yes,
objections
Mhm.
can voice them.
yes.
And then,
We'll redo this and clean it up.
and then basically, so it's 14 days notice, you put it in the paper, 2 places around town. You have the hearing, and then after, you know, taking testimony at the hearing, you adopt the ordinance, and then 60 days goes by and it's good.
Where should we advertise it? This says Mountain Villager, which.
Has to be in the
Gazette
Burlington
now.
Free Press.
Has to be,
which is
okay, so I need to
our,
change that
yeah,
then.
it's our, unfortunately, it's our paper of circulation.
Okay.
We probably want to think about changing that. I don't know. what.
But it makes sense to invite the fire department to the public hearing to give testimony on their
Absolutely.
experience. I'd like to have that on the record.
Yep.
Mhm.
That'd be very
Good idea.
helpful to clarify.
But I think you could take your time a little bit, do the next
Yeah.
meeting, do a nice, clean
Yep.
version. and-
I can do
Yeah, I
that.
don't wanna act on anything right
No, I wasn't expecting that. It was just to start the, I'm sure Bob may
Thank
have
you
more
for doing
suggestions. Bob may have more suggestions too, but he had to leave.
Hope he's not going to a Vanity Road. Oh,
Not funny. I know.
be perfect
It'd be
opportunity right
apropos.
now, right?
It would definitely be appropriate. Nice
Thanks,
job,
man.
Mandy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mandy does a much better job as 911 coordinator than I did. So, just
And
got on, but-
I did confer with Tyler, who is our 911 contact. I did confer with the fire department. I got Russ's opinion on the signage, so it wasn't just me doing this. It was all of us
Team effort.
working together.
So Bob had asked for the 712 and we're on to the solar eclipse. So Bob had asked he asked me to reach out to the sheriff just to see if they would be available for that day. And then I said that I'd put it on the agenda. Dan and I spoke about it briefly. But the sheriff basically told me this. The city of Burlington tried to hire the entire sheriff's department and they refused. So they're gonna close the Beltline down, 127, gonna be closed. They're closing the airport and they're having bands and $100 a person
$100 a head.
ticket.
Yeah.
2 free drinks, the sheriff said.
Yep.
And so he's kind of the impression a lot of folks are going to be in that area, right? But if 200,000 people come here, which it potentially could be, they're saying anywhere between, he told me 100 and 200. And so anyway, he's like, well, and he also said that the Vermont State Police have agreed that they will not be ticketing people that pull off on the interstate. So if you pull off the breakdown lane on the interstate,
Yeah.
they're not ticketing any.
Well, how could
Which
it?
makes
It's all gonna
sense.
happen all
You're
at
not
once.
gonna be
All
able
at
to
once,
see
and
it.
how are you
And
gonna
it's
do
gonna be
it?
done in
So-
15 minutes, it'll be over.
So he said he would ask if you guys wanted to entertain that, he could ask Brian Walsh, who is our deputy here that patrols, and we have 10 hours a week anyway. Could see if he'd be around on that day, but
For what purpose would
I'm
Sheriff
not
need
sure
to be
what,
here.
I'm not sure what, I can't speak for Bob, so.
I can tell you what I think the concern is specifically in my neighborhood, is that April can either be very icy or it can be really muddy. And if people want to go see the eclipse of the century or whatever it is, and it happens to be clear that day, and and they want to go to the highest place in the state of Vermont to watch this once in a lifetime thing,
It's the state park.
that's our state park and the Stevensville trails. And our roads cannot handle that kind of traffic, even when the roads are in good shape. And that time of year, the state parks don't like traffic up there anyway. Stevensville, you can't turn around if there's more than 20 cars in there anyway. And today there was 6 cars in there. So, I mean, I think the concern is that there's going to be an influx of people heading up those roads.
So what about, what's Green Mountain Club doing?
So I, after you left, I looked them up and they don't open, they're open on Wednesday. So I called them yesterday and I didn't get a response. So today I called again, didn't get anyone to answer, but they had a portal where you could send an email. So I shipped an email out and I'll let you know what
I
it
think
said.
they're limited in what they do. And it'd be a good idea to find out, what, I mean,
I asked them that question.
we have just a couple accesses to that mountain. Along the road in Stowe, they have a bunch of them. And I'm wondering what they're doing, because it's easier access to the mountain there.
I could reach out. I know the town manager over there a little bit. so
And I
could
think
reach out,
other
so.
towns who are near places, like,
Camel's Hump.
yeah, Mount
But-
Hunger.
Stowe's a good one though, because they're prime for the,
Oh, yeah.
Tourists.
And what are people doing? And rather than throw up all kinds of cautions and wanting to do whatever we can to keep people out, it might be interesting, and I don't have any proposal to do this, if somebody wanted to be creative and a committee, like the rec committee wanted to say, let's have.
Bands and a couple drinks.
let's
That's
have-
I was gonna do my yard. Come on over,
Let's have
$100.
truck day
Two drinks,
at
yeah,
Moore
drinks.
Park
Yep.
and, of
We
course.
have to, but we also have to be careful. We don't have parking or infrastructure in any of those locations. If we end up with a big
Yeah.
event,
What if Tomasi Field turns into,
a
Well,
mud-
that.
and
Mud pit.
we should have some kind of planning.
the
in
problem
order to
is,
find out that.
the problem is, right, for something this large, you need to plan way in advance.
exactly.
We don't know what the weather's gonna be like.
I know,
Yeah, so-
it's crazy.
look, they canceled
Um,
Winter Carnival Saturday. It's all canceled.
So Forest and Parks, I did speak with them. They have no plans to promote Mansfield at all. They don't even want to mention it. When they talked about opening state parks, they're thinking about like the islands. There's a lot of room up there,
Yeah.
That's
a
good
lot
to
of
know.
parking.
Okay, so not
There,
Sunset Ridge.
no,
Good.
no. And
I
the
would
Green
worry
Mountain
about
Club controls the trails. So, if they put out a blanket statement saying absolutely nobody allowed on the trails, which I think would be the smart thing to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Let it
not,
flow.
people want to stand on top of Casey's Hill, that'd be pretty good.
So I'll put it on the agenda again, since Bob wasn't here.
So, also, I think that, the VLCT is having a Eclipse planning, check-in.
Weekly, I think.
But they're having one on February 8th. And I think that if you can let Bob know as the emergency management
today.
director, if he wants to attend that at 10 a.m. on the 8th. If he can't,
That was today.
oh,
Is there one next week though?
Maybe that's where he went.
There's one like every,
There's
week.
a fire on the mountain.
There's one
Okay,
like
okay.
every week.
okay, that's right. All right.
We'll catch the next one.
The next one. So if you wanted to attend one of those, because they are, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys want to weigh in on how you feel about the sheriff. Bob's pretty,
Well, what directed, what was the sheriff gonna do? Sheriff things?
I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I think Bob's concern was like, I don't know, say you have all these people and a fight breaks out or something, but I don't know
I think
what,
it's
I don't want
more-
to speak.
I think it was more of traffic control, people hitting Sunset Ridge. Just like Jen said, so where do I want to go? I want to go to the highest place on the
I
state.
know.
And go, like, there's a trail that you can access through the state park. People destined to go there or to Stevensville, if it becomes a,
Should be comical.
If
They
it
could, but
becomes,
they could go to Stowe and ride the lift and go check it out. from the top
Right.
there.
That's what we should do. We should
but if it becomes a
promote that.
quagmire in town for traffic, what do we do?
Yeah, I know.
That's the
I
concern.
wonder what Stowe's gonna do. The toll road's there. I don't know if the
I'll-
toll road's open then.
I'll give a holler over there.
Yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah,
Charlie.
you know, check with Stowe, check with some other big players around Mount Mansfield and other mountains
Yeah,
and see, because we aren't the only show in town.
no, we're probably, you know, compared to Stowe, I mean, everybody's probably gonna wanna go to Stowe compared to here, you know?
I don't know. No offense, but the solar eclipse is gonna be on this side at 3:30 in the afternoon. It's not on that
Good
side.
point.
So that's not the
excellent.
side you wanna
You
be
know
on.
what? You're right. You're
That's
absolutely
exactly
right.
I wouldn't go to
Absolutely
Stowe, and
right.
I love Stowe, because you
Yeah.
have to be up on
Unless
top
you-
of the mountain. It's gonna be
You're
over.
right.
It's gonna be out my yard.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
everybody from Stowe's
200,
gonna
it's going
come
up
over
to
here.
200 plus 2 drinks a month.
Every minute.
Everyone's coming here.
I think you're wasting a lot of time. and
I do
energy.
too.
Me
Well-
too.
I do too.
And I get
I think you
blown way out of
Let it
proportion.
flow.
Oh,
and
it's
it'll be
so
like,
funny.
Let people go hike up.
at your own risk.
On April 8th
It's
at
gonna be
10
cloudy.
PM, I will be in Olympia, Greece, where the Olympics began.
He will not see it.
And
Nice.
I will be streaming VPR,
Okay. good.
Eye on the Sky.
There you go.
And I'll look on my solar array app to see, is
Let's
it
go.
sunny?
It went dark.
Dark out, yeah.
Did it go dark for an hour?
Is it sunny or not?
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
All right, we good with that for a minute?
yeah,
All right, so we're on my thing. Let's go hand you out this.
And you're not gonna get your executive session.
Okay, I don't have copies for everybody, but I'll get one of
Okay.
those.
You got the majority, yeah.
Oh, shit. You guys can share maybe.
I'll share with Mandy.
Share with me.
What are we doing?
Around here.
So this is. All right, so every year we have to certify to our mileage, and that's how we get paid for our state aid highways. And normally, you know, it's just a matter, like the year we had the Butler Road discontinuance, we made note of that discontinuance on this certificate, and then the map was adjusted accordingly. So this time, there's really no changes we've had. However, when Mandy suggested that we needed to name Town Highway 20, which is now called Iron Kettle
Iron Kettle.
Lane,
Yeah.
I noticed that it shows up as a Class 3 highway. And it's not. Well, we don't maintain it. Have you ever, I've asked, I think I asked Dwayne and Scott, and they don't, never, have you even been down it?
Up it.
Up it, or it's flat, I think. It's kind of flat and then goes up, but it's basically, so it's 14/100ths of a mile. Pretty short. There's a couple things we can do by statute. We can do what's called a highway not meeting these standards, meaning Class 3. And I'm not going to get into what those standards are, but it's basically traveled by all 4 seasons by pleasure car. A highway not meeting these standards may be reclassified as provisional Class 3 highway if within 5 years of the determination, it will meet all Class 3 standards. I don't think we want to do that, my suggestion. But what we can do, what I'm suggesting we do, is I make a note here under reclassified, remeasured, and use a term called NUTS, N-U-T-S, which means not up to standard. So basically, we want to be honest and not get state aid for that 14/100ths of a mile that we're not maintaining. So, and I just did some quick math. It's about $250
Less that we'll get.
less that
state
we'll
aid.
get. So what I am suggesting we do, though, possibly either in the near future or is take the proceedings of reclassifying that road. So it's a hearing process, you warn it, we would have a hearing and reclassify the road from class 3 to class 4. That way it just becomes a class 4 highway, which could someday in turn be discontinued. Then to balance that out, we have a short section on Stevensville Road where we received a Better Back Road grant, I think 15 years ago or so, 12 years ago. And we went from the corner of Maple Leaf and Stevensville, and we improved that section of road and created a new turnaround on the class 4 section. So that still shows up on the highway map as class 4, but we could in turn have another reclassification hearing at the same time and upgrade that from a 4 to a 3 in that little short section. So it would balance itself out. The two are the same, 1400s. So I guess what I'm proposing is you just make a motion to sign the mileage map with no changes except for, and I'm going to check with Jonathan Croft tomorrow. I tried to call him today, but I think that will be acceptable if under this reclassified measured part, I make note of Town Highway 20 and the new road name and say it's not up to standard. That way they subtract it. So that's what I'm suggesting
Good plan.
we do.
I think that would be a good thing to do.
Is there a timing on this? This has to be filed by?
Tomorrow, Friday or Monday.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we sign, it's Dan's signature.
It's going to be all three of you, actually.
Make the motion that we approve the certificate of highway mileage year ending February 10th, 2024 with the change for reclassified, renamed, or remeasured as noted by Brad.
Town Highway 20, 1400ths of a mile, not up to standard.
Nuts.
Thank you.
Nuts. They call it nuts.
Nuts.
I'll second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 2-0.
Great. If you remember, the Energy Committee wanted to apply for a grant that was like an energy audit, and we received that grant. It's a minor, what do they call it? Municipal energy assessment under the Municipal Energy Resilient Program, the MERP. So this is an agreement, memorandum of agreement. And Ravi, who's on the Energy Committee, asked if he could sign it. And I said, well, we should follow procedure and Select Board should. I guess I would suggest that you authorize the chair to sign the agreement. And they're going to do an energy assessment on the town hall and the town garage.
Yes.
Which will include electrical use, fuel use, mechanical, electrical plans, lighting schedule, building control
Our
systems,
lights don't work.
stuff like that. It'll be
Getting dark
Roof
in here.
leaks?
roof leaks. I'm gonna fix that.
You're gonna fix
That's on my list.
all of them?
Get some tar.
So Dan would sign this?
Yes.
Right, so I make a motion that we authorize Dan Steinbauer, Chair of the Select Board, to sign a memorandum of agreement, MOA, between the Vermont Department of Building and General Services and the town of Underhill for the provision of municipal energy assessment services under the Municipal Energy Resilience Program agreement.
I'll second that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 2-0.
Okay, and then the Energy Committee has invited and approved Lori Domain.
I think that's how you say it.
That's how you say it, with it looks. And I included a little email about her.
Yeah.
And so she's excited and they're excited to have her. They did vote at a meeting to accept her.
Excellent,
And she has already signed the conflict of interest paperwork.
excellent.
Way to be on
Just
top
move.
of that.
So
Move to,
I move that we receive, what's your name, full name?
It's a
Lori,
three-year term.
Lori Domain.
Laura Domain for a 3-year term on the Energy Committee. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Welcome, Lori.
Yes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 2-0.
I just wanted to confirm, announce, and some, we've been in communication last week, or I've been in communication with each of you. And I just wanted to confirm that Monday, February 26th is going to be the town informational hearing for town meeting, Australian ballot questions.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to firm that up. It'll be the only thing on the agenda, so it should be pretty quick.
Yep. That's it.
Okay, and then the
Is Dan
sidewalk.
Rams gonna be here?
Yes, yep, Dan can make it. Then we kind of talked about possibly having a reorganization meeting after town meeting on the 5th. So we're supposed to do it forthwith, but I kind of talked about doing the 7th as an organizational meeting, and then at the same time do the sidewalk, the grant. The consultant wanted to come and do a public hearing.
Mhm.
That's all off the table now. So
The kickoff thing?
the consultant couldn't make it.
Right.
So and then I talked to Sherry. Sherry's on here about reorganizing, and since your regular meeting would be the 14th of March, if we follow the second Thursday, Sherry and I both thought that we could reorganize at that time and not have a special meeting, and then at that meeting do the sidewalk.
On the 14th.
Yes. Does that work for you?
However, the new select board sets the meeting times.
Well, no, but you have to organize first, right?
So
You have
we
to have a
were
select
looking
board first.
At the old
Yeah,
meeting time.
Right. Well, you could have the statute says that after town meeting, the select board forthwith shall organize. Pick a chair, vice chair, meeting schedule, rules of procedure.
Hmm.
So that's what the organizational meeting's all about.
Mhm.
I think, Sherry, nod if you're agreeing that the 14th would be okay. It's 9 days after.
He says yes.
Okay.
So instead of trying to plan an off date,
Mhm.
I think
I know-
that makes sense, because my schedule is really tight,
right?
all the dog races that we're headed to.
And the 7th doesn't work I know the 7th, you said
I
work,
can't, I'm away.
you're away anyway. You were away, and then the sidewalk people can't do it, so it's off the table. Let's just, if everybody's okay with the 14th, that's not really on the agenda. I just wanted to firm down the 26th is the information area, because 10 days prior to that, I have to give notice. So let's look at the 14th as a reorganizational. And I'll get with Bob. The other thing that I wanted to add that I asked to add to the agenda, and it came up just yesterday, so that's why I'm asking. So Underhill, United Church of Underhill, as you know, we supported them with a planning grant. What they'd like to do now is start the steps for an implementation grant, which is a construction grant. All I'm asking you to do is give me the authority to open up a new folder in the Gears portal, which is the grant portal. And this is just so they can start compiling information. And then in anticipation of preparing an application that you would then review for submittal. So it's kind of like they're already in the portal now. We deal with the planning grant, right, which is almost done. They just want to start This one, and this is what was suggested by Patrick Sheld, who controls the housing and community development. So basically, it's not, you're not committing to anything. You're just allowing me to open up a space where they can start gathering information.
And say it again, what exactly you're gonna open up as a portal?
No, they're already in the portal. I'm just opening up a new folder. So it'd be like a new folder, a new application,
In,
gears.
which is a state,
It's a state portal. I can't remember what it stands for. Government something.
And that's something that we need to do because we supported them in the,
Well, it's nothing you need to do, right? So it's going to be the same procedure.
It'll make it easier.
It'll make it, well, it just gets them a start on
Right.
it. And then you'll have to approve the submittal of the application. If you want to support that. So,
at a later date,
Yes.
we'll get the full application.
yeah, so I could,
Which goes
So-
hand in hand.
Right, exactly.
so I could just read you this email, and Dave Clift emailed me, he goes, hi Brad, would you please go into Gears and create an application for an implementation grant? So it's to create that folder, that place for an implementation. It gets a number. And he said, I met with Patrick yesterday and he outlined the steps that it would need to take in making that application. The application due date will be early April. This will follow similar steps as the planning grant. We will have to meet with the select board and get approval to apply for the grant. The allocated town resources, such as your time, Jennifer's time, to validate costs and allocate funds over the next year or so as the project proceeds.
Mhm.
So it's not like it does seem a little odd, I know, but you're not approving an application, you're approving me to just open up an application folder.
and they will do all the work.
They will
Yeah.
do all the work as they have before.
It's a
But-
place for them to upload the documents as they're getting them.
Right.
Because when you go to finally pull together the applications, everything has to be in these portals.
And then what we have to do is and before the application is submitted, I think there has to be a hearing like we did before.
Mhm.
Then we get public feedback and then you can give your approval or not to submit the application.
Okay.
I move that we authorize Brad to open up a new folder in Gears, which is a state grant portal in preparation for an implementation grant for the Underhill,
United
United Church.
Harvest Crossing
for the Harvest,
Crossing Affordable Housing Project.
the Harvest Crossing Affordable Housing Project.
I'll second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 2-0. So we also added posting roads to the agenda, and is this
Probably a good place to.
ahead of schedule?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna put 7:38 here. Road posting. So I'll just give you a little background. I asked Russ about, he put any thoughts about how he wanted to go about that. And I printed them out the last 3 years. The 1 year, I think it was 21, where you posted the valley, Pleasant Valley. And then that makes it simpler because you don't need to post all these side roads. And then the year after, 22, we didn't post the valley, so all the side roads had to be listed as posted.
Hmm.
And then in 23, last year, we had the emergency meeting, February 15th.
That
And
was early.
posted it was early. Yeah, everybody was freaking out. It was, got warm quick.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts about?
So we just thought that it might be good to get it on the agenda to get the approval to do road posting when we feel the time is needed.
I think you need to state though how you're gonna proceed with that, if you're gonna post the valley or not.
My plan is to not post the valley.
So you'd post all the side roads off of Pleasant Valley. So we obviously can't post Route 15, it's not under our control. So all roads would be posted except for Pleasant Valley.
Correct.
Can I ask why, rather than doing Pleasant Valley?
You can ask why.
No reason? Sounds like more work to me than it.
I mean, we have all the signs. It's not like we have to make up signs. They're already all pre-made for each
Gotta get
road.
pounded on the ground.
No, they go right on this bolt onto
Right, you
the,
gotta bolt them on the.
it takes a little bit of time, but not a lot. My feeling is that the Pleasant Valley Road is, it's not the best road, but I don't think it'll hurt the Valley Road any. That's my feeling.
Well, I'm wondering if there's even much frost in the road. You know?
In the valley, there is probably pavement. I don't know.
There's a few bumps that have shown recently.
Yeah, because it just hasn't been.
The majority of like we also spoke that, there's the majority of the trucks that travel these roads are exempt anyways. We have very few,
Right.
it's probably construction, lumber and concrete are probably the log trucks.
And there may be a lot of log trucks. It's hard to believe they're not exempt, but they're not. But with all the wind damage and maybe they're trying to get logs out
Mm-hmm.
And you've got
plowing it out the valley.
fuel and propane, you have school buses, you have
Garbage trucks.
garbage trucks, you have milk truck, you
Oh,
have sap trucks, they're all exempt.
So what's the point, really? I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I can see the gravel roads when they start to get sloppy, especially.
That's just my feeling. If you want to do something different,
I
do
think
something different.
leaving.
We could also, if you wanted to put it on the agenda for next time, we could have the posting all ready.
Okay.
And then say something happens between now and then, we could do the quick emergency thing. We did it on the phone last time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The 10-day forecast, other than this weekend, it's gonna warm up Friday, Saturday, but then it's gonna get colder.
In the other 2 years that I mentioned, the roads weren't posted until the first week of March. Last year was pretty unusual.
Yeah.
But this way, technically, I think maybe the posting has to be on the morning, because we have to go into the state portal, enter all that information. It's a
Let's
little
put it on.
more,
People need to know.
Let's put it on for the next meeting and
it's a little more formal
be a
than you
little more
think.
prepared and.
Right.
Good.
Closing public comment period.
We were just here.
No, that was
Part of the warrant.
moved to
Oh.
go to, that was moved to talk about after executive session. So,
Who would head out? Have a good night, all.
Thanks, Mandy.
thanks, Amanda.
I'm not too, I guess.
Unless you wanted to just stick for the quick thing, so there's no public unless Sherry wants to make a comment. Sherry,
She
no,
can't.
I know, she can't.
Sign language.
Hold up a sign. So there's no public here for public
So we
comment.
will bypass the closing public comment period. And I'm not sure the rationale of moving the executive session, but since we said that in the adjustments, we should do that. And we have 2 executive sessions. One includes a contract.
Right, we'll get warrants and minutes and a couple other things. You want to do those or?
Yeah, Bob moved
Oh,
those
Oh, I
after
see what you're
executive
saying.
Bob
session,
asked to move that,
yeah.
but
which
he's
one?
not here, so.
Right,
but we made that change.
right.
We made the change.
So there are 2 executive sessions, yeah, started. for two different things.
Correct. So.
And maybe Bob will come back by then.
Right. So we, I move that we enter executive.
Well, we
session.
need to do the, oh, he wanted to do, right, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So you can't, they can't,
I'm catching up now, Dan.
so they can't
Sorry.
switch, you can't switch it back
Well,
and go
I
do
didn't
the
know.
warrants and then
No,
go back to.
I'm catching up, Dan.
I think we
It's well ahead of me.
changed it,
So we changed it, so that was the agreement. So, yes.
Okay.
So I would go forward, unless you wanted to do that. Well, do what you're doing. I'm sorry I messed you up. Dan.
No, I move that we
Quick.
enter executive
Are the member
session.
comments going to be after?
Excuse me?
So the member items also be after the executive session?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, but I'm assuming it will. Do you want to do?
Why don't we do member items?
Okay. Dan wants to do member
That way they'll be on the
on the record.
record. I mean, they'll be on the record anyway,
Right.
but Donna can just get them from what we're doing live. So we kind of nailed down the schedule. I
Yes.
don't have any items or correspondence.
Disregard the correspondence I put in about the sidewalk public forum. I think I stuck it in there on the end. Was it in there?
I think
The
so.
very,
Yeah,
very last page.
it was.
Yeah, so
was.
we'll pull that.
Yeah.
We'll pull that out, and that's not going to happen. I just want to confirm with Bob that he's going to be available on the 14th. I'm assuming he's going to be, since it's a regular meeting day.
Right.
Okay, so none there.
And our next regular meeting is what, the 22nd?
22nd.
I will not be there. And then we meet at the hearing.
Monday the
And Bob will
26th.
not be there,
Bob will be remote. He said he could,
or he may be remote.
maybe remote.
Okay. That's fine. So we're ready for executive session?
Yeah.
I move that we enter executive session for 1 VSA Section 313, paragraph A1, 1A, to discuss a potential contract agreement and that may affect the town premature public knowledge of said contract with the public body at a disadvantage. And that will involve Brad and the select board. You involved in that too?
No, I don't know.
It's-
I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think so. And,
I think I'm done.
Hey, Jeff, good to
I
see you.
had that matching sweatshirt on.
and secondly, I move that we enter a second executive session under 1 VSA Section 313A, paragraph 3, for the appointment, employment, or evaluation of public officer or employee, and that will include the select board and a highway supervisor, Russ.
Second both.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is 7:48. We are in executive session.
Okay, I will update everyone on what happened. Thank you.
This
Way
conference
easier.
will now be recorded.
I move that we re-enter open session. It is 9:56 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 3-0. So we are in open session, and one of the things that we talked about a contract, and we have no action to take, and we talked about relating personnel matters. And That's it?
Well, now we have to go back to the warrants and minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we approve the warrants for 2/8/2024. These are the AP warrants. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries 3-0. I move that we approve the regular monthly AP warrants for 12/22/2023 to 2/5/2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved 3-0. I move that we approve the payroll warrants for 2/1/2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0, they passed.
So while we're on the warrants, I wanted to add the Beaver Deceiver invoice. It was included in the packet last time, but we never got to it, it seems like. So just to follow up for the record, Kurt reached out to Tina Heath with the wetlands, DEC, reached out to Stacy Pomeroy with Rivers, Chris Brunel with Rivers, Beaver folks, fish folks, all over the state. The consensus was to leave it alone till spring. And Skip had done what we'd asked him to do. And I guess it's really not his fault that the beavers are gone. So we're hoping that there could be some measures we could take, some natural type measures we could take in the spring to encourage the beavers to. But from what Kurt has heard from the neighbors, there are some beavers, a new bunch of beavers that are kind of active and close in the area. So hopefully they're going to come back. But we have the outstanding invoice, and Russ didn't feel comfortable coding it because he didn't authorize it. So I guess I wanted to know what you want to do about the invoice. And he knocked 10% off the trouble, and he will come back in the spring and make sure it's, if the beavers are back, and make sure the pipe's functioning properly. But the device is out in the pond. So that's what I know.
Where they made the dam before.
Yes, well, the device is out further in the pond itself. So, but he runs the pipe through the dam to the other side, so it's just outlets underneath the bridge.
So do we need a motion to approve the invoice?
Yeah, I guess. Since we had this trouble and it's not functioning right, and
Right.
so if you want to just authorize to pay the invoice, we can. If we want to do something different.
We authorized it in the beginning, so we need to pay our bills.
I'll vote yes to approve it, but I am disappointed in the process that went through, both on Skip's part. I don't feel like, honestly, that we got a good performance out of this. I thought the sales pitch for us to sign on was very different than what the reality was. And I understand that we contributed to his challenge of the work by removing the dam, but we had to remove the beaver dam because of flood issues for the road. I'm just not happy with the whole thing, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I think I agree we have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bill.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Where's the money gonna come from?
We'd have to look back at what was decided when you approved the estimate.
Right.
Okay. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries 3-0.
And then there's some calendar year 2023, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Vacation rollover.
Yeah.
I
vacation
move that we,
and payout. I'm just requesting, I think I don't know, 17 hours or whatever. I can only carry 80 over 17 hours. I would like to take the time off at some point. So
Right.
I'd like to just not be able to lose it.
We're gonna ask you if you mind working Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
More than he does.
That's right. That's what I do.
I move that we approve the vacation time payout and rollover for 2 employees as detailed in this outlay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I just want to take some time to recognize Brad and the work that he's doing for us, doing 2 jobs. I am worried about you, who's being burned out. And I'm hoping that we can get some resolution soon of filling the zoning position, because you can't do this forever. I'm super worried about you, Brad.
Yeah, it started to get to me. I actually called Patty Monday when I had to wait for a fuel truck, and but yeah, it is getting tough, and I feel like I'm neglecting some things that I really should be doing town administrator wise, but we're hanging in there, and I'll just be mindful not to try and take it home. Like I took last Friday off because I haven't had a day off in a while, and I just kind of felt guilty of like.
You need time to recharge your batteries.
Yeah.
Taking that
Right.
time off is super important in this.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not able to take time off just really amplifies how much you're doing of your own time for this town, and it's recognized, it's seen. I'm just worried about you.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'll try to reel it in here a little bit and try to take some time, and I got to realize that some things can wait. So.
Yeah, take care of you first.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. Appreciate that. So.
Not good. And this is a late night.
Yeah, that's all right. One
Did we
quick.
vote?
No.
Did we?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This motion carries 3-0.
And one quick thing, I just wanted to confirm with Bob that, we had kind of talked about a March 7th meeting, that's off the table now. So the plan is to reorganize and to have the sidewalk presentation on March 14th. If you're okay with that, it's our regular meeting night.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Great. Doesn't sound like St. Patrick's Day.
No.
Then we have to paint the sidewalk green or something.
Right, that's right. Sidewalk we don't have.
Any other business?
You were against painting the sidewalk green?
Yes.
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. It is 10:05.